record keeping for FICA. The FICA requires every FSP to have appropriate procedures and systems in place to, number one, record any verbal and written communication relating to financial service rendered to clients. Number two, store and retrieve such records and any other material documentation relating to the client or financial service rendered to the client. And lastly, keep clients' records and documentation safe from destruction and keep it for a minimum of period of 5 years after the rendering of the financial service. Please take note, we are saying 5 years after the rendering of the financial service. FICA requires the following records to be kept: the identity of the clients, the identity and authority of a person acting on behalf of the client, the identity and authority of the client acting on behalf of another person, the nature of the business relationship or transaction, the name of the person who obtained the information on behalf of the accountable institution, document used to identify and verify the client, and these records may be kept in electronic format. Records that relate to the establishment of a business relationship should be kept for a minimum of 5 years from the date on which the business relationship is terminated. Please take note. Take note, is kept for a minimum of 5 years from date in which the business relationship is terminated. Take note of the word terminated. Records which relate to the transactions should be kept for a minimum of 5 years from conclusion of the transaction. Maintenance of records. FSPs must maintain records for a minimum period of 5 years regarding 1. Non-premature cancellations of transactions regarding products by clients of the provider. 2. Complaints received together with an indication whether or not the complaints have been resolved. 3. The continued compliance with the requirements. 4. Cases of non-compliance with the Act and the reasons of non-compliance. Then, the continued compliance by the representatives with the FICA requirements. Accessibility, storage, and retrieval of records. An authorized representative of the Financial Intelligence Center must have access to the records kept by accountable institution during ordinary working hours. He or she may examine or make extracts or make copies of such records. Records may be kept in an appropriate electronic or recorded format, which are accessible and readily reducible to written or printed form. FSPs must ensure that records are available within 7 days of the Commissioner's request. Please take note of the 7 days. FSPs must ensure that records are available within 7 days of the Commissioner's request, using third parties to keep records. FICA allows for third parties to keep records on behalf of the accountable institution, provided the accountable institution have free and easy access to the records. Should the third party fail to keep proper records, the accountable institution is liable and held accountable for the failure. If accountable institution makes use of a third party to keep records, must give full details of the third party to the FIC and FSCA. The FSP must ensure not to compromise the client's confidentiality when using the third party. Failure to produce records. Where such records are not made available to the general public, a warrant issued by a judge or a magistrate of the region in which the accountable institution conducts business is required by the representative of the Financial Intelligence Center. A warrant will only be issued if there are reasonable grounds that such records will assist in identifying the proceeds of unlawful activities. An accountable institution which fails to provide assistance is guilty of an offense punishable with imprisonment for a period not exceeding 15 years or a fine not exceeding 100 million. A provider may not disclose any confidential information required or obtained from a client or product supplier unless 1. A written consent of the client or supplier has been obtained beforehand. 2. Disclosure of the information is required in the public interest or under law.